July 4, 1826, Deadwood, Dakota Territory. The sun beats down on a makeshift rodeo arena carved from prairie dust. 3,000 people pack the wooden stands, their boots stomping their voices, rising in a roar that shakes the mountain air. 14 cowboys have already competed. 14 white men who've spent their lives roping cattle, breaking broncos, conquering the West. Every single one of them has failed to take the championship. Now a black man steps into the arena. 22 years old, hands calloused from years on the cattle trails, skin darkened by sun and wind. He was born a slave in Tennessee, and in the next hour he's about to shatter every lie you were taught about the American West. The rope contest comes first. 9 minutes. That's all the time Nat needs to rope, throw, tie, bridle, and saddle a wild steer. 9 minutes. The crowd goes silent. No one has ever moved that fast. The judges check their pocket watches 3 times because they can't believe what they just witnessed. The other competitors shake their heads. But the real test comes next. Bronco riding. They bring out the wildest horse in Dakota Territory. 10 men have already tried to ride this beast. 10 men got thrown into the dirt within seconds. The horse bucks like it's possessed by demons. Its eyes roll white with rage. This animal has ended careers and broken bones. The crowd leans forward. They want to see if this black cowboy bleeds like everyone else. Nat Love climbs into the saddle. The horse explodes. It twists, bucks, spins, crashes against the arena fence trying to scrape him off. Dust clouds rise so thick you can barely see them. The crowd screams. And when the dust settles, Nat Love is still in that saddle. Still riding. They crowned him Deadwood Dick that day. Champion of the West. The best cowboy in Dakota Territory. But your history textbook never mentioned his name. In fact, they erased 25% of all cowboys from American history. 1 in 4 trail riders was black. Where are they in your son's textbook? Where are they in the movies? Where are they in the stories we tell ourselves about who built this country? They're gone. Erased. Whitewashed. Stolen. For the next hour, I'm going to show you the greatest labor theft in American history. Not just stolen wages. Stolen identities, stolen legacies, stolen wealth that should be in your bank account right now. Your grandfather watched John Wayne movies his whole life believing the West was white. Your father learned the same lie in school. Your children are learning that same lie right now in 2025. This isn't ancient history. This affects your wealth today. This explains why your family rents instead of owns. This reveals why the wealth gap exists. This exposes the exact system they used to rob your ancestors and then erase the crime from every textbook for 150 years. By the end of this video, you'll know how 9,000 black cowboys built the cattle empires that made America wealthy. You'll discover why Bill Pickett invented bulldogging, but never got paid a single dollar for it. You'll see the exact playbook they use to erase us from history, and you'll understand why the current attacks on DEI and black history are the same weapon they've been using since 1870. This is your stolen heritage. This is your grandfather's labor. This is your inheritance they buried, and after today you'll never look at a Western movie the same way again. Let's start with the man they tried hardest to erase. Nat Love was born in 1854 in Davidson County, Tennessee. Born into slavery. His parents were enslaved on a plantation. He was one of 5 children. They owned nothing. They were nothing in the eyes of the law, just property that could be bought and sold like cattle. But everything changed in 1865 when the Civil War ended. Freedom came, and with it came crushing poverty. Nat's father died shortly after emancipation. The family had no money, no land, no way to survive. So 15-year-old Nat did what he had to do. He went to work on nearby farms as a hired hand. That's where he discovered his gift. Horses. Wild horses that most men couldn't get near. Nat could calm them, train them, ride them. It was like he spoke their language, like something in his blood remembered how to move with these animals. The white farmers noticed. They started paying him extra to break their wildest horses, and Nat started dreaming of something bigger than Tennessee poverty. 1870. Nat Love is 16 years old. He enters a raffle twice and wins a horse both times. He sells both horses and walks away with $100. That's more money than his family has seen since emancipation. And Nat makes a decision that will change his life forever. He's going west. He leaves Tennessee behind, leaves his mother and siblings, heads toward Dodge City, Kansas, the heart of cattle country, the place where fortunes are being made, where a man with skill and courage can build something from nothing, where the color of your skin matters less than your ability to handle a rope and a horse. Dodge City leads him to the Duval Ranch on the Palo Duro River in Texas, his first real job on a cattle drive. 3,000 head of cattle. 3 months on the trail driving them north to market. Rivers to cross. Storms to survive. Rustlers to fight off. Every day a test of whether you're tough enough to make it in this world. The trail is brutal. You sleep on the ground with rattlesnakes. You eat beans and hardtack until your stomach rebels. You ride through weather that tries to kill you. Flash floods that drown men and cattle. Hailstorms that bruise your skin through your clothes. Heat that bakes your brain until you see things that aren't there. And through it all, you keep those cattle moving north, because if you don't, everyone starves. But Nat Love thrives on the trail. He learns to shoot from Mexican vaqueros who've been doing this for generations. He perfects his rope work alongside white cowboys who respect skill more than skin color. He fights off cattle rustlers trying to steal the herd. He crosses the Red River during flood season when the water runs red with clay and the current tries to sweep everything away. He earns a new nickname from his fellow cowboys, Red River Dick. And here's what they don't teach you in school. The trail was integrated. Black cowboys worked alongside Mexican vaqueros, Native Americans, and white cowboys. On the trail, a man was judged by his skill. Can you keep your seat on a bucking horse? Can you throw a rope accurately at 20 yards? Can you stay calm when the herd stampedes in the middle of the night? Those are the questions that mattered, not the color of your skin. This was real equality, not the fake kind where people pretend they don't see color, but the kind where everyone knows the job is so dangerous and demanding that you need every capable hand, regardless of who they are. The kind where you share the same food, the same dangers, the same exhaustion. The kind where you save each other's lives and nobody asks about your grandfather's papers. Nat Love spent the 1870s on these cattle trails, building his reputation, learning his craft, becoming one of the best cowboys in the West. And then came July 4th, 1876, the day that should have made him a legend in every American history textbook. Deadwood Rodeo Championship, the biggest event in Dakota Territory. Cowboys from across the West gather to prove who's the best. 14 competitors, the best ropers, the best riders, the best bronco busters in the region. Men who've built their entire lives around this skill. Men who think they own the West. The first contest is roping. Catch a steer, throw it down, tie it up, put a bridle and saddle on it. Fastest time wins. The white competitors go first. Good times, solid times, professional work. Then Nat Love steps up. 9 minutes, that's all it takes him. 9 minutes to do what takes other men 15 or 20. The crowd erupts. The judges stare at their watches. The other competitors look at each other with something between respect and fear. But winning one event isn't enough. The bronco riding competition separates the champions from everyone else. They bring out the wildest horse in the territory, a beast that's already thrown 10 men, a monster that seems to hate human beings with a personal vendetta. Other cowboys have broken ribs on this animal. Some have broken spirits. Nat Love climbs on. The horse goes insane. It bucks so hard you can hear the impact when its hooves hit the ground. It spins like it's trying to screw itself into the earth. It crashes sideways into the fence, trying to crush Nat's leg. The crowd is screaming. The other cowboys are watching with their mouths open. And Nat Love stays in that saddle like he was born there. When it's over, when the horse finally gives up, the crowd rushes the arena. Fans mob him. Other cowboys slap him on the back. Someone shouts, "Deadwood Dick," and the name sticks. They crown him champion, winner of every single event. The best cowboy in Dakota territory. The best cowboy most of these people have ever seen. A black man born into slavery just beat every white competitor at their own game in front of 3,000 witnesses, with judges and timers and official records. This isn't a story passed down through oral tradition. This isn't folklore. This is documented history that happened in broad daylight in front of everyone. And yet your textbook never mentioned it. Hollywood never made a movie about it. Your teacher never taught it. Why? Because Nat Love's excellence destroys the mythology they built. The mythology that white pioneers conquered the West alone. The mythology that black people were passive victims who contributed nothing to American expansion. The mythology that justified stealing everything our ancestors built. Nat Love continued working cattle drives through the 1880s. He became famous among cowboys as one of the best marksmen on the frontier. He could outshoot, outrope, and outride almost anyone. His skills were legendary among the men who actually knew the West, instead of the writers who invented it later. In 1907, Nat Love published his autobiography, Life and Adventures of Nat Love. The whole story, the slavery, the escape to the West, the cattle drives, the Deadwood Championship, everything. He put it down on paper so no one could deny it happened. He documented his own excellence because he knew what was coming. He knew they would try to erase him, and they did. Mainstream publishers ignored his autobiography. Schools didn't teach it. Libraries didn't stock it. The book existed, but it might as well have been invisible. For decades, Nat Love's story gathered dust, while Hollywood invented a West full of white heroes who looked nothing like the real men who built it. His descendants should be wealthy. The skills he mastered, the reputation he built, the prize money he won, all of that should have been passed down through generations. Property, land, businesses, wealth. But it wasn't. Because the same system that erased him from textbooks also stole from his family through legal discrimination, property theft, and economic exclusion. His grandchildren started from zero. His great-grandchildren started from zero. Every generation had to build from nothing because everything the previous generation built got stolen. That's not ancient history. That's your family's story. That's why your grandmother struggled. That's why your father couldn't buy a house. That's why you're working twice as hard for half as much. They didn't just erase Nat Love from the history books. They stole his wealth. They stole his legacy. They stole his family's inheritance. And then they taught your children that the wealth gap is your fault. But Nat Love's story is just the beginning. Because while he was winning championships in Deadwood, another black cowboy was about to invent something that would change rodeo forever. Something so innovative that white cowboys are still using it today. Something they stole and renamed so they could pretend they invented it. His name was Bill Pickett. And what they did to him proves this wasn't just erasure. This was systematic robbery on a scale most people can't even imagine. Bill Pickett was born in 1870 in Taylor, Texas, 6 years after slavery ended. His parents were formerly enslaved people trying to build a life from nothing. They worked as farmers, poor, struggling, but free. Bill was one of 13 children. 13 mouths to feed on land they didn't own with tools they couldn't afford. School wasn't an option for most of his childhood. The family needed every hand working to survive. So Bill dropped out early and went to work as a ranch hand. That's where his education really began. Not from books, but from life, from watching, from trying, from failing and trying again until his body knew what his mind couldn't explain. Bill learned to rope from watching Mexican vaqueros who'd been perfecting their craft for generations. He learned to ride from trial and error and getting thrown and getting back up. He learned to read animals, to understand their fear and rage and submission, to move with them instead of against them. And that's when he noticed something nobody else was paying attention to: ranch dogs. Bill watched how the dogs controlled cattle during roundups. When a steer got stubborn or aggressive, the dogs would dart in and bite the animal's upper lip. And something fascinating happened. The steer would stop fighting. Its head would drop. It would follow wherever the dog led, like flipping a switch. Instant submission. Bill Pickett saw that and thought, what if a man could do the same thing? So he tried it. And bulldogging was born. Here's how it worked. You start on horseback racing alongside a running steer, full gallop. The steer is terrified and running for its life. You lean out of your saddle. Timing has to be perfect, because if you miss, you're going under hooves that will shatter your skull. You grab the steer's horns with both hands. You throw yourself off the horse and onto the steer's neck. Your weight and momentum twist the animal's head. And here's the revolutionary part. You bend down and bite the steer's upper lip with your teeth. That bite triggers the same response the ranch dogs triggered: biological submission. The steer's brain says, stop fighting. Its muscles go slack. And you use that moment to wrestle it to the ground. It's part rodeo skill, part animal psychology, part absolute insanity. And Bill Pickett perfected it. But perfecting it came at a cost. Bill broke 3 ribs learning this technique. He got gored, he got trampled. His horse Spradley took hits meant for him and got injured multiple times. This wasn't a trick he invented sitting safely somewhere. This was innovation written in blood and broken bones. The technique combined everything Bill learned from different cultures: African-American innovation, Mexican vaquero horsemanship, American cowboy fearlessness. It was multicultural genius happening on the frontier, while the rest of America was building Jim Crow laws to keep people separated. 1905, Mexico. Bill Pickett makes a bet. $500 that he can bulldog the most aggressive Chihuahua bull in the country. This animal is legendary for its rage. It's killed matadors. It's gored horses. It's the kind of beast that makes grown men reconsider their life choices. Bill takes the bet. The bull nearly kills him. It slams him into the fence. It tries to gore him multiple times. Bill's ribs crack. His body screams. But he hangs on. He gets that upper lip in his teeth. And the bull goes down. Bill wins the bet. $500. And a reputation that spreads across 2 countries. That same year, Bill joins the Miller Brothers' One Ubbo, One Ranch Wild West show. This is the big time. Touring shows that travel across America and internationally, performing for massive crowds, making real money. Bill becomes a star. He performs his bulldogging technique in front of thousands of people in Europe, South America, Mexico. He's famous. He's innovative. He's a living legend. And that's when the robbery begins. Because white cowboys see what Bill invented. They see the crowds, they see the money, they see the fame, and they want it. So they adopt his technique. They start doing bulldogging in their own shows. They compete in rodeos using the method Bill created. But they remove one thing: the bite. They call it steer wrestling instead of bulldogging. They claim it's a traditional cowboy skill passed down through generations. They write Bill Pickett out of the story entirely. And modern rodeo accepts this lie as truth. Today, steer wrestling is an official rodeo event. Thousands of cowboys compete in it. Prize money adds up to millions of dollars, and almost none of them know that a black man invented the technique they're using. Bill Pickett never received royalties, never got patents, never got credit in official rodeo history books. They stole his innovation and renamed it so they could pretend it was always theirs. But the theft went deeper than just stealing his technique. Rodeo segregation meant Bill couldn't compete for the same prizes as white cowboys. He was forced into separate colored circuits, separate competitions, smaller purses, less recognition. The white press described him using animal metaphors. They called him savage. They compared him to wild beasts. They dehumanized him even as they stole from him. Bill performed in movies too. 1921 and 1922. He starred in silent films called The Bulldogger and The Crimson Skull. He was a film star before Hollywood decided black cowboys didn't exist. But those films were only shown to black audiences in segregated theaters. White America never saw them, never knew, never cared. March 1932. Bill Pickett is working at the 101 Ranch in Oklahoma. A horse kicks him in the head. 11 days later, he dies from his injuries. He's buried on the ranch he helped make famous. And for decades, that's where his story ends. Forgotten, erased, buried literally and figuratively. It takes until 1971 for the National Rodeo Hall of Fame to induct Bill Pickett. 39 years after his death. 39 years of rodeo cowboys using his technique while pretending he never existed. And even that recognition came too late for his descendants to benefit. No back pay, no royalties, no apologies. Just a plaque on a wall that most people walk past without reading. Today in 2025, rodeo is a billion-dollar industry. Steer wrestling competitions happen every weekend. Cowboys win trucks and belt buckles and prize money using the technique Bill Pickett invented. And most of them don't know his name. Most rodeo fans have never heard of him because they changed the name. They erased the inventor. They stole the technique and the credit and the money, and they got away with it. That's not ancient history. That's intellectual property theft. That's wage theft. That's systematic erasure of black excellence. And it's still happening right now. Every time a cowboy wins a steer wrestling competition without acknowledging Bill Pickett, the theft continues. Every time a rodeo broadcasts without mentioning the black man who invented the event, the erasure continues. Every time your child learns about rodeo without learning about Bill Pickett, the lie continues. But Bill Pickett wasn't alone. He was just one of 9,000 black cowboys who built the West, while white America was busy inventing mythology about who really did the work. And those 9,000 men have stories that will shatter everything you thought you knew about American history. Here's what they don't teach you in school. Between 1866 and 1895, 35,000 cowboys rode the cattle trails from Texas northward. 35,000 men driving millions of cattle across rivers and deserts and mountains to feed a growing nation. And of those 35,000 cowboys, 9,000 were black. That's 25%. 1 in 4. Another 12% were Mexican or Native American. Which means white cowboys made up only 63% of the men who actually built the American West. Let that sink in. The mythology you were fed your entire life is a lie. The John Wayne movies, the history textbooks, the stories about rugged white pioneers conquering the frontier alone. All lies. The real West was built by black hands, Mexican hands, Native hands, working together. The real West was multicultural, multiracial, a place where skill mattered more than skin color, because the work was too dangerous to care about anything else. These black cowboys brought skills passed down through generations. Their enslaved ancestors handled cattle on southern plantations for 200 years. They learned animal husbandry from their African forebears, who'd been herding cattle for thousands of years before America even existed. They blended African roping techniques with Mexican vaquero methods and created something new, something uniquely American, something Hollywood would later claim white people invented. Why did they go west? Because the South after emancipation was a nightmare. Jim Crow terrorism, lynching, legal discrimination that trapped freedmen in poverty worse than slavery, because at least slaves had been valuable property. Free black people in the South had nothing. No protection, no rights, no future. So they headed west where cattle drives offered real wages, $30 to $40 a month. That's equivalent to about $800 today. Real money. Money that could buy land, start businesses, build futures. And on the trail, something miraculous happened. Equality. Real equality. Not the pretend kind where people claim they don't see color, but the kind where your life depends on the man next to you, regardless of who he is. Where a black cowboy shares the same food, the same dangers, the same exhaustion as everyone else. Where you get judged by whether you can stay in the saddle when your horse bucks, whether you can rope accurately at 20 yards, whether you stay calm when 3,000 cattle stampede in the middle of the night. Mexican vaqueros taught black cowboys advanced lasso techniques passed down through Spanish colonial tradition. They shared songs, corridos, and field hollers blending into something neither culture had heard before. They worked side by side on 3-month drives through territory that wanted them dead. Bilingual crews where black cowboys learned Spanish and Mexican vaqueros learned English, and together they created the actual cowboy culture. Not the white mythology Hollywood invented later. The real thing, built on black and brown labor solidarity. Many black cowboys spoke fluent Spanish. They married into Mexican families. They settled in borderlands where cultures mixed. This wasn't white individualism conquering the wilderness. This was multicultural cooperation building something new. And they erased every bit of it from your textbooks because that truth destroys the narrative they needed you to believe. Let me tell you about some of the men whose names survived. Bose Icard, born into slavery in 1843 in Mississippi. After emancipation, he became one of the most trusted cowboys on the Goodnight-loving trail. When other cowboys couldn't break a wild bronco, Bose bit the horse on the neck until it stopped bucking. That's how he established himself as a top hand. Charles Goodnight, the famous rancher, trusted Bose so completely that he made him his personal banker on the trail. Bose carried thousands of dollars in cash across hundreds of miles of dangerous territory. Think about that. A white rancher in 1866 Texas trusted a black man who'd been enslaved just years earlier to carry his fortune. That's not the story they tell in textbooks. Isam Dart, expert horsebreaker who became a cattle ranch owner in Colorado, started with nothing, built something, then had it stolen by white neighbors who couldn't stand seeing a black man succeed. Jesse Stahl, famous saddle bronc rider who set the standard for the entire sport. He invented a dangerous maneuver called hoolie handing, where you jump from a horse onto a bull and wrestle it to the ground. He competed in the Pendleton Roundup from 1912 through 1916. Crowds came specifically to watch him ride. He was that good. But racism followed him everywhere. Judges claimed black riders got easier horses to hide their prejudice. So they gave Jesse the wildest broncos. And he still won, still dominated, still proved black excellence despite everything they threw at him. Cherokee Bill, outlaw turned folk hero. His story got twisted by white writers who couldn't imagine a black man as anything but a villain or a victim. Never as a complex human being navigating an impossible situation. and 8,990 more whose names were never recorded. 8,990. Black cowboys who broke horses and drove cattle and built the West and got erased from history completely. No monuments, no textbooks, no movies. Just gone. Like they never existed. Like their labor didn't matter. Like their excellence was inconvenient to the mythology America needed to tell itself. That's not ancient history. That's systematic erasure. That's cultural genocide. That's theft on a scale so massive, most people can't even comprehend it. They didn't just steal wages. They stole identities. They stole the right of those 9,000 men to be remembered. And they stole from you. Because those 9,000 cowboys are your ancestors. Their blood runs in your veins. Their skills should have been passed down. Their wealth should be in your bank account. Their pride should be in your children's textbooks. But it's not. Because they erased it all. Segregated rodeos and the soul circuits. 1873. Rodeos become popularized across America thanks to Buffalo Bill Cody's Wild West shows. These traveling performances showcase roping, riding, shooting. The skills that built the West. Crowds love it. Prize money starts flowing. Fame gets made. And that's exactly when white rodeo organizers slam the door in black cowboys' faces. From 1873 through the 1940s, white rodeos either ban black competitors entirely or use a vicious lie to hide their racism. They claim black riders are harder to cover. What does that mean? It means white judges pretend they can't judge black cowboys fairly. They say it's too difficult to compare, too complicated. When what they really mean is we don't want black men winning our prizes and taking our glory, so they give black cowboys the wildest broncos, the horses that have already thrown 10 white riders, the ones with a reputation for breaking bones and ending careers. Jesse Stahl and others get assigned these killer horses as punishment for being excellent while black. And you know what happens? They ride them anyway. They win anyway. They prove their superiority anyway. And white judges still deny them prizes. But the dehumanization goes deeper than rigged competitions. The white press compares black cowboys to animals. They use animal metaphors in every article. They describe black riders as savage, wild, untamed, like they're part of the rodeo attraction instead of skilled professionals, like they're zoo exhibits instead of champion athletes. This isn't accidental language. This is deliberate dehumanization designed to justify theft and exclusion. Jim Crow enforcement follows black cowboys everywhere. Separate water fountains at rodeos, separate entrances, separate seating sections. You can risk your life entertaining white crowds, but you can't drink from the same fountain. You can win the competition, but you have to enter through the back door. You can be the best rider anyone has ever seen, but you still have to sit in the colored section. The contradiction would be laughable if it wasn't so evil. So black cowboys do what black Americans have always done. When white institutions exclude them, they build their own. 1947. The Negro Cowboys Rodeo Association forms, founded by East Texas. Black businessmen, ranchers, and cowboys who refuse to accept exclusion as the final word. They create separate circuits, the soul circuits. Black rodeos in rural Texas coast communities, where black excellence can be celebrated instead of stolen. These weren't just rodeos. They were cultural events, poetry readings, music performances, storytelling sessions where elders passed down the truth. White textbooks were erasing, economic engines that created black wealth through rodeo economy, ticket sales, vendor opportunities, prize money that stayed in black communities, survival strategies disguised as entertainment. The motto was simple: if they won't let us in, we'll build our own. And they did. They kept the skills alive when white rodeos tried to bury them. They preserved the culture when white historians pretended it never existed. They maintained the traditions that connected them to the 9,000 unnamed warriors who came before. The soul circuits were resistance, proof that you can't kill what you can't break, proof that black cowboys refused to disappear just because white America wanted them gone. Late 1800s. The South loses the Civil War, but immediately begins winning the propaganda war. And leading that charge is an organization you need to know about: the United Daughters of the Confederacy, the UDC, founded by elite white Southern women who understood something crucial. If you control the textbooks, you control the future. The UDC got heavily involved in writing publishing and banning history textbooks for school-aged children. They didn't just write a few books. They systematically infiltrated education across the entire South. They funded scholarships for poor descendants of Confederates, so those students could get college degrees and become teachers who would spread lost cause mythology to the next generation. They did all this without even having the legal right to vote. That's how committed they were to erasing truth. Their mission was clear: spread the lost cause narrative. What's the lost cause? It's a pseudo-historical lie that slavery wasn't the cause of the Civil War. According to this twisted version of history, the war was about states' rights and Northern aggression. The South was just defending itself. Slavery was benign. Enslaved people were happy. And black people contributed nothing to American development. These textbooks portrayed the Confederacy as heroic. They downplayed slavery or dismissed it entirely as a cause of the war. And most devastatingly, they almost completely omitted achievements of African Americans. Not just black cowboys, black inventors, black soldiers, black entrepreneurs, black everything. Erased. As if millions of black people existed for 250 years and accomplished nothing worth mentioning. These UDC textbooks were used in the overwhelming majority of Southern schools well into the 1970s. Let me repeat that. 1970s. Your parents or grandparents likely learned from these racist textbooks. They learned lies about slavery. They learned nothing about black cowboys. They learned a version of American history designed specifically to make white supremacy seem natural and inevitable. The lost cause became the philosophical foundation for racial violence and terrorism. When you teach children that slavery was benign and black people contributed nothing, you're teaching them that black people deserve their oppression. You're justifying every lynching, every stolen property, every denied opportunity. You're creating generations of Americans who see inequality and think that's just how things are supposed to be. And it worked. For nearly a century, Southern children learned American history with black people erased or minimized. They learned about cowboys without learning that 1 in 4 was black. They learned about Western expansion without learning about the 9,000 black men who built it. They learned lies that became common knowledge. Lies their children and grandchildren still believe today. But the erasure didn't stop in the 1970s. It's happening right now. Between 2021 and 2025, thousands of books discussing black history have been removed from schools across America. Books about police brutality, books about slavery, books about race and the black experience. Material written by black authors for black students who deserve to see themselves in what they read. PEN America documented this modern censorship campaign. 4 straight school years of unprecedented book bans. The movement seeks to impose restrictions on all students and families. It attacks books with themes centered on race history, sexual orientation, and gender. And it's deeply undemocratic because it lets a vocal minority control what everyone's children can learn. States have passed laws banning what they call divisive concepts. What are divisive concepts? Accurate history that makes white students uncomfortable, teaching about systemic racism, explaining how slavery created generational wealth gaps, showing how Jim Crow laws stole black property, All the truth you're learning in this video, they're trying to ban it from schools in 2025. The pattern repeats itself. 1890s UDC textbooks erasing black cowboys. 2025 book bans erasing black history. Same playbook, same goal. Keep black children ignorant of their excellence. Keep white children ignorant of the crimes. Keep everyone believing the mythology instead of learning the truth. Your children right now in 2025 are sitting in classrooms learning about the American West, and most of them will never hear about Nat Love, never hear about Bill Pickett, never hear about the 9,000. Their textbooks will show pictures of white cowboys and teach them the same lies Hollywood has been selling for 100 years. Unless you do something about it. Unless you show up at school board meetings and demand better. Unless you teach your children the truth yourself, because the system won't. Hollywood's whitewashing, 1910 through 1970. Hollywood's golden age of westerns. Over 300 western films flood American theaters. John Wayne becomes an icon. Clint Eastwood, Gary Cooper, Kirk Douglas. White faces, white heroes, white mythology. Over 300 films about the American West, and almost all of them have entirely white casts. Think about what that means. For 60 years, every Saturday afternoon, American children went to movie theaters and watched westerns. They saw white cowboys roping cattle, white cowboys fighting outlaws, white cowboys taming the wilderness, week after week, year after year, decade after decade. An entire generation raised on the lie that the West was white. Then their children raised on the same lie. Then their grandchildren. Your grandfather sat in those theaters believing what he saw was real. Your father watched John Wayne on television and learned the same mythology. You grew up with those images in your head. And now your children are learning it again through streaming services that keep recycling the same old lies with better special effects. But here's what Hollywood erased. Names like Nat Love and Bill Pickett and Bass Reeves. Real black cowboys with documented achievements that would make incredible films. Stories of championship victories and innovative techniques and survival against impossible odds. Hollywood knew about them, and Hollywood chose to erase them anyway. When black people did appear in westerns, it was often as a joke. Comic relief. Buffoons, servants, never as heroes, never as champions, never as the skilled professionals who actually built the cattle industry. The few times black actors got roles, they were one-dimensional stereotypes designed to reinforce white superiority. The whitewashing became so complete that most Americans today genuinely believe the West was white. It's not malice. It's not conspiracy theory. It's just what they learned from movies and television their entire lives. The lie repeated so many times, it became common knowledge. The mythology so deeply embedded, it feels like fact. But there were exceptions that proved the rule. During segregation, black filmmakers made race westerns for primarily black theaters. Herb Jeffries became the bronze buckaroo in films like Harlem on the Prairie and Harlem Rides the Range. He stood tall, he sang, he saved the day. And black children finally saw a cowboy who looked like them. But these films only played in segregated black theaters. White America never saw them, never knew they existed. Today in 2025, the whitewashing continues. Shows like Yellowstone and 1883 dominate streaming services with predominantly white casts. When black cowboys do appear, they're often token characters, background figures, never the center of the story, never given the complexity and depth their real historical counterparts deserve. Pause right here. Let this sink in. If this truth shocked you, comment. Truth below. If you're angry they lied to you, comment stolen. Hit that like button if you're tired of the lies. Share this with your children who need to know real history. Share it with your parents who lived through textbook lies. Share it with your church members who believe in truth and justice. Share it with anyone who thinks the wealth gap is Black people's fault. This isn't divisive. This is fact. This isn't making white kids feel bad. This is history. This isn't playing the victim. This is revealing the crime. In 2025, they're still trying to ban this history from schools. Your grandchildren might never learn this unless you share it. We are in a war for truth, and silence is surrender. They didn't just erase Black cowboys from books and movies. They destroyed the physical evidence. When Black cowboys saved enough money to buy ranches, white mobs came at night. They burned property records, deeds that proved ownership, tax receipts that showed payment, legal documents that established rights. All of it turned to ash, so no one could prove the land ever belonged to Black families. Family photographs disappeared in mysterious fires, floods that only seemed to hit Black neighborhoods, mob violence that destroyed everything a family owned, including their memories. Those old photos of your great-grandfather on horseback. They existed once. Somebody burned them, deliberately, to erase the proof that he was there. Grave sites went unmarked. Black cowboys who achieved greatness got buried in plots with no headstone, no name, no dates, no record they ever lived. Their descendants can't even visit their graves because no one knows where they are. That's not neglect. That's calculated erasure. Make it impossible to honor the dead so the living forget they existed. And when Black cowboys bought livestock and built herds, white authorities found ways to confiscate them. Trumped-up charges, false accusations of cattle theft, legal theft disguised as law enforcement. A Black man builds a successful ranch, and suddenly he's accused of stealing the cattle he bought with his own wages. The court rules against him. A white neighbor gets his herd, and the records show the Black man was a criminal instead of a victim of theft. Texas in the 1880s through 1920s saw this pattern repeat hundreds of times. A Black rancher buys land through legitimate means, works it for years, builds something valuable. Then a white neighbor produces a fraudulent deed, claiming the land was always his. The white judge believes the white neighbor. The Black rancher loses everything. No compensation, no justice. Just theft with a legal stamp on it. The laws themselves became weapons. Black codes passed immediately after the Civil War in 1865 and 1866 restricted where freedmen could travel. You needed labor contracts to prove you had employment, or they could arrest you for vagrancy. That trapped thousands of Black people in the South when they wanted to go west. It made the journey dangerous because any sheriff could arrest you for traveling without papers. Vagrancy laws specifically targeted Black cowboys on the move. You're riding west looking for work, and a sheriff arrests you for not having a permanent address. You explain you're a cowboy looking for ranch work. He doesn't care. He charges you with vagrancy. You end up in jail or forced labor. Your journey west ends before it begins. And if you do make it, the next county might arrest you for the same thing. The Homestead Act promised free land to anyone willing to settle it. Hundreds of acres. Build a house. Farm it for 5 years. It's yours. That was the promise. But when Black applicants showed up, they got denied. Or they got approved for the worst land. Rocky soil that wouldn't grow crops. Desert that had no water. Land so far from towns they couldn't sell what they produced. The law said free land for all. The reality said free land for whites only. And when Black cowboys did successfully buy property in towns, white authorities changed the zoning laws. Suddenly, your residential property is zoned commercial. Or the town decides to build a highway right through the Black neighborhood. Or new regulations make it illegal to operate the business you've been running for years. Every time Black people built something, the law changed to take it away. Court decisions made the theft legal. Black cowboy sues for denied rodeo prize money. White judge dismisses the case. Black rancher sues white neighbor for property theft. White jury rules against him. When black cowboys died and left property to their children, white neighbors contested the wills. And white probate judges gave the property to the white neighbors. The legal system wasn't blind. It was weaponized. We talked about United Daughters of Confederacy textbooks erasing black achievements from 1890s through 1970s. But the mechanism went deeper than just writing bad textbooks. They funded scholarships so poor descendants of Confederates could become teachers. They did this without even having the right to vote. That's how committed they were to controlling what children learned. Those teachers taught the textbooks. Those textbooks taught lies. Those lies became what your grandparents believed. And your grandparents taught your parents. And your parents taught you. Generation after generation learning that black people contributed nothing to American history. Learning that the West was white. Learning that slavery wasn't that bad. Learning lies so deeply embedded they feel like truth. Today in 2025, the mechanism continues through book bans and anti-CRT laws. Between 2021 and 2025, thousands of books about black history got removed from school libraries. Books about police brutality, books about slavery, books about race and the black experience. Material written by black authors for black students who deserve to see themselves in what they read. States passed laws banning teaching about systemic racism. They call it divisive. They say it makes white kids feel bad. What they mean is we don't want anyone learning the truth about how we stole everything. We don't want white kids questioning why their families have wealth and black families don't. We don't want black kids learning about their ancestors' excellence, because then they'll demand what's owed, creating the White West. Newspapers in the 1800s through 1950s erased black cowboys from local reporting. When a rodeo happened, the paper would report the white winners on the front page. Black competitors got mentioned on back pages, if at all. When they did get mentioned, the language dehumanized them. Animal metaphors, savage, wild, untamed. Like they were part of the show instead of the competitors. Hollywood took newspaper lies and amplified them into mythology. Silent films in the 1910s started the erasure. Black cowboys only appeared as comedy relief or villains. When Bill Pickett made his films in 1921 and 1922, they only showed them in segregated black theaters. White America never saw them, never knew a black cowboy could be the hero. Then came the golden age of westerns, 1930 through 1970. Over 300 films. John Wayne became the face of the American cowboy. Gary Cooper, Clint Eastwood, Kirk Douglas. All white, all portraying a West that never existed. And American children watched these films every Saturday afternoon, week after week, year after year, decade after decade. The lie became more real than the truth. Even when black actors got roles, they weren't cowboys. Sidney Poitier and Woody Strode in the 60s and 70s played sidekicks or servants. Never the star. Never the hero who saved the day. Never the skilled professional who built the West. Always supporting roles for the white hero's journey. The mechanism was complete. Physical evidence destroyed. Legal systems weaponized. Education corrupted. Media saturated with lies. Every institution working together to erase black cowboys from American memory. And it worked. For over a century, it worked. Your grandfather believed the lie. Your father believed the lie. You believed the lie until today. But here's what they couldn't destroy. The truth. The documented evidence that survived despite their best efforts. The census records showing 9,000 black cowboys. The rodeo records showing Nat Love's championship. the patent applications showing Bill Pickett's innovation, the photographs that escaped the fires, the oral histories passed down through black families who refused to forget. The truth survived. And now you know it. 2025. The median white household holds $284,310 in wealth. The median black household holds $44,100. That's a gap of $240,190 per family. For every $100 a white family has, a black family has $15. 15 out of 100. But here's what they don't tell you. That gap is not an accident. It's not because black people don't work hard enough. It's not because of bad choices or poor culture. That gap exists because of systematic theft that started with slavery and continued through black cowboy erasure and continues today. Let me show you exactly how. If Nat Love's descendants kept his earnings from the 1870s, here's what that looks like. $40 per month in 1870 equals about $1,000 per month today when adjusted for inflation. 20 years of work at those wages equals $240,000 saved by 1890. If that money got invested in land and cattle like Nat tried to do, it would be worth $5 to $10 million today. But his family doesn't have $5 million because the land got stolen. The savings got lost to Jim Crow violence. Every generation started from zero because everything the previous generation built got taken. Multiply that by 9,000 black cowboys. If each one earned $10,000 over his career in $1870, that's $90 million total. Adjusted for inflation plus investment growth over 150 years, that's $50 to $100 billion stolen from the black community, just from cowboy wages alone. $50 billion that should be in your family's bank account right now, sitting in trusts for your children, funding businesses in your neighborhood, building generational wealth that lifts everyone. But it gets worse. Black cowboys who bought ranches lost them to white neighbors through legal theft. Estimated 500 to 1,000 black-owned ranches stolen between 1880 and 1930. Prime cattle land in Texas, Oklahoma, Colorado, worth $10 to $20 billion today. Gone. Transferred to white families who still own that land, still profit from that land, still pass that wealth to their children. While the descendants of the black cowboys who actually bought that land rent apartments and struggle to pay bills. Then there's intellectual property theft. Bill Pickett invented bulldogging. Modern steer wrestling is a billion-dollar rodeo industry. Thousands of cowboys compete every weekend. Prize money, sponsorships, ticket sales, merchandising. Pickett never got patents, never received royalties, never got paid for his innovation. His descendants got nothing while white cowboys built careers using his technique. This is why your family should be wealthy, but isn't. Not because your ancestors didn't work. They worked harder than almost anyone. Not because they didn't save. They tried to save and it got stolen. Not because they didn't buy property. They bought property, and white mobs burned the deeds. The poverty isn't your fault. It was engineered through systematic theft over 150 years, and that theft continues today. Gentrification is the modern version of land theft. Between 1980 and 2020, gentrifying neighborhoods across America lost 500,000 black residents. Black families who owned homes for generations suddenly can't afford the property taxes when white people move in. The neighborhood gets redeveloped, black voices get ignored, and black families get displaced while white families move in with cash offers. The pattern from 1880s. Texas repeats in 2025 Los Angeles. Black family owns property. Neighborhood becomes valuable. White developers want it. Suddenly, there are zoning changes, tax assessments, regulations that force the black family out. Different methods. Same theft. Same result. Black wealth transferred to white hands. They always say slavery was too long ago to matter. But black cowboy labor theft happened from 1866 to 1930. Rodeo segregation lasted from 1873 to the 1970s. Textbook erasure ran from 1890s to 1990s. Book bans are happening right now in 2025. Your grandparents lived this. Your parents lived this. You are living this right now. The debt is specific and calculable. Stolen wages from 9,000 cowboys equals $50 to $100 billion. Stolen ranch property equals $10 to $20 billion. Stolen intellectual property from Bill Pickett's bulldogging invention adds billions more in lost royalties and licensing fees. Cultural erasure caused economic harm because all the tourism dollars went to white cowboy mythology instead of black cowboy truth. Total owed to black cowboy descendants conservatively estimated at $75 to $150 billion minimum. But the larger reparations debt goes far beyond cowboys. The racial wealth gap in 2025 stands at $240,000 per household between white and black families. To close that gap completely would require individual payments to descendants of enslaved Americans that eliminate the disparity. According to calculations, that means roughly $150,000 per black household to reach parity. Why reparations are justice and not charity? We can name specific victims. Nat Love, Bill Pickett, the 9,000 black cowboys whose names were recorded in census data. We can name specific perpetrators. White rodeo organizations that denied prizes. Textbook publishers that erased achievements. Film studios that whitewashed history. We can trace specific timelines. 1866 to 2025 is 159 years of ongoing theft. We can calculate specific damages. The wealth gap is measurable and directly traceable to this theft. Reparations restore stolen wealth. They acknowledge harm caused. They provide financial atonement and move toward equality. This isn't about making white people feel guilty. This is about paying a debt. When you steal someone's car, you have to give it back or pay for it. When you steal someone's labor, land, and legacy for 150 years, you have to pay for that too. It's not radical. It's basic justice. Every modern injustice connects directly to black cowboy erasure. The pattern repeats with different names, but the same mechanism. Then and now. Past and present. History and headline. Watch how it works. Then, in 1880s, physical land theft forced black cowboys off property they bought. Now, in 2025, gentrification forces black families out of homes they own. Then white mobs used violence. Now, white developers use property taxes and zoning laws. Different methods. Same theft. Same displacement. Same transfer of black wealth to white hands. Then in 1900s, rodeo segregation denied black cowboys equal prizes, despite equal or better skills. Now in 2025, workplace discrimination denies black professionals promotions, despite equal or better performance. Then, judges claimed black riders were harder to cover. Now, managers claim black employees don't fit the culture. Then, Jesse Stahl got the wildest horses as punishment. Now, black workers get the hardest assignments to prove themselves. Same pattern, same injustice, same denial of excellence. Then, from 1890s to 1970s, UDC textbooks omitted black achievements. Now, from 2021 to 2025, book bans remove black history from schools. Then they said, teaching the truth was divisive. Now they say, teaching the truth violates anti-CRT laws. Then they claimed slavery was benign. Now they claim systemic racism doesn't exist. Same lies, same erasure, Same theft of your children's right to know their heritage. Then in 1900s, white press used the excuse that black cowboys were harder to cover to hide racism. Now in 2025, critics claim black professionals are DEI hires to undermine their achievements. Then they said, Jesse Stahl only won because he got easier horses, even though they gave him the hardest ones. Now they say, black executives only got promoted because of quotas, even though they outperformed everyone. Same gaslighting, same denial, same refusal to acknowledge black excellence. The pattern is undeniable. Achieve excellence. Get denied recognition. Get erased from history. Repeat. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. And the rhyme scheme has been going for 150 years. Your life today connects directly to black cowboy theft. Why you have to work twice as hard for half the credit? That's the same treatment Jesse Stahl got in rodeos. Why your kids learn lies in school? That's the same textbook erasure from 1890s. Why you're told to get over it? That's the same gaslighting used to justify rodeo segregation. Why your family rents instead of owns. That's the stolen ranch land worth billions today. This isn't paranoia. This isn't playing the victim. This is pattern recognition. This is connecting documented historical theft to current economic inequality. This is understanding that the wealth gap didn't happen by accident. It was created deliberately through legal systems, educational systems, media systems, all working together to transfer black wealth to white hands. And in 2025, that transfer continues. Black families still losing homes to gentrification. Black professionals still denied promotions despite qualifications. Black children still learning whitewashed history. Black excellence still undervalued and underpaid. The theft that started with slavery and continued through black cowboy erasure has never stopped. It just evolved, got more sophisticated, learned to hide behind words like culture fit and neighborhood revitalization and divisive concepts. But you see it now. You understand the pattern. You recognize the theft. And recognition is the first step toward resistance. You are not victims. Stop letting them tell that story. Your ancestors were master horsemen who could break wild broncos that threw everyone else. Your ancestors were inventors, like Bill Pickett, who created techniques white cowboys still use today. Your ancestors were champions, like Nat Love, who beat every white competitor and got crowned the best in the West. Your ancestors were entrepreneurs who bought ranches and built businesses from nothing. You are survivors of systematic theft. They stole your wealth, and you're still here. They stole your land, and you're still here. They stole your history, and you're still here. Your survival is not weakness. Your survival is defiance. Your survival is proof that they couldn't break what they couldn't kill. You're still standing after 400 years of warfare. That's not victim behavior. That's warrior DNA. Your poverty is not your fault. It was engineered through legal theft documented in court records. It was planned by white supremacist systems that wrote laws specifically to steal from you. It was maintained through textbook lies and media whitewashing that continue to today. You were robbed, not lazy, not irresponsible, not culturally deficient. Robbed. And your struggle to overcome that robbery is proof of the crime, not proof of your inadequacy. Reframe the narrative in your mind right now. Not why can't black people get ahead, but how do black people keep succeeding despite 400 years of theft? Not why is there a wealth gap, but where is our $75 to $150 billion they stole from black cowboys alone? Not why do we need reparations, but when will they pay the debt they owe? The questions you ask determine the answers you get. Ask victim questions, and you'll get victim answers. Ask warrior questions, and you'll get warrior answers. You descend from people who survived the Middle Passage slavery, Jim Crow, and textbook erasure. You descend from Nat Love and Bill Pickett and 9,000 unnamed champions. You descend from excellence. Act like it. Your ancestors were millionaires in skill, even if they never got to keep the wealth. Nat Love won championships against the best cowboys in Dakota Territory. Bill Pickett invented a rodeo technique that revolutionized the sport. 9,000 black cowboys built the cattle empires that fed a growing nation and created American wealth. They did this while facing terrorism, segregation, and systematic erasure. They built empires from nothing, started as enslaved people with zero property rights, and ended as landowners before white mobs stole it back. They learned skills from African elders, Mexican vaqueros, and hard experience on the trail. They created cultural fusion that blended African rhythm with Mexican vaquero traditions and American cowboy innovation. They invented the actual cowboy culture before Hollywood whitewashed it. They fought armies and won culturally even when they lost militarily. They faced KKK terrorism and kept going west. They faced rodeo segregation and built soul circuits. They faced textbook erasure and kept oral traditions alive. They couldn't kill your story because you're still here telling it. Every time you speak truth about black cowboys, they lose. Every time you teach your children this history, you win. They did all this while facing daily terrorism. Cattle drives meant 3 months on the trail for $40 a month, facing the threat of violence every night. Rodeos meant competing while being compared to animals in the press. Daily life meant Jim Crow laws, lynch mobs, and legal theft at every turn. And they still achieved excellence. They still won championships. They still invented techniques. They still built wealth before it got stolen. That strength lives in your DNA. Every time you overcome workplace discrimination, that's Nat Love beating white competitors. Every time you innovate despite being denied credit, that's Bill Pickett creating something revolutionary. Every time you survive systems designed to destroy you, that's the 9,000, proving black excellence cannot be killed. You are not separate from them. You are them. Their blood, their struggle, their victory, their legacy. God preserved your ancestors through the Middle Passage for a reason. 2 million Africans died on those ships. Your ancestors survived. Not luck, not accident. Purpose. God had plans for them, and God has plans for you. God brought your ancestors through slavery for a reason. 4 million people enslaved. 246 years of genocide. Your ancestors survived. Not random chance. Purpose. God was preserving a people who would one day demand justice and receive it. God kept your ancestors alive through Jim Crow for a reason. Lynchings, massacres like Tulsa and Rosewood, legal theft through laws designed to destroy black wealth. Your ancestors survived, not because they were lucky, because they had a divine assignment. And you inherited that assignment. Your mission is clear. Reveal truth. This video is part of that mission. You finding this information today is not coincidence. It's divine appointment. You were supposed to learn this now. Demand justice. Reparations aren't charity. They're owed debt. And demanding what's owed is righteous. Reclaim what was stolen. Not just money, history, identity, legacy. Pass it to the next generation. Your children must know this. Your grandchildren must learn what schools won't teach. There's a biblical parallel here. Joseph was sold into slavery in Egypt. He suffered injustice, but God elevated him to power so he could save his people. You are descendants of stolen people, but you're rising despite theft, and you will save your people through truth. The truth that slavery was never benign. The truth that black cowboys built the West. The truth that your poverty was engineered. The truth that reparations are owed. Psalm 105 verse 37 says he brought out Israel laden with silver and gold. That's your Exodus coming. From stolen labor to reclaimed legacy. From systematic theft to systematic restoration. From erasure to revelation. Your ancestors paid the price. You're receiving the inheritance. Not just material wealth, though that's owed too, but the inheritance of knowing who you really are. You are God's warriors. Not warriors of violence. Warriors of truth. Not warriors of revenge. Warriors of justice. Not warriors of hatred. Warriors of love for your people, your ancestors, your descendants. You fight with facts. You fight with documentation. You fight with truth they can't deny. Your divine assignment is active right now. Uncover buried history. You're doing that by watching this video. Teach the next generation. You'll do that by sharing this with your children. Demand what's owed. You'll do that by supporting reparations movements. Walk in the pride your ancestors earned. You'll do that by rejecting victim narratives and embracing warrior identity. This isn't motivational speaking. This is spiritual truth. You exist because God wanted you to exist. You found this video because God wanted you to find it. You're learning this history because God wants you to know it. And you're going to do something with this knowledge because that's why God preserved you through everything that tried to kill your family line. You have work to do, and that work starts now. Subscribe to this channel because we're exposing hundreds more stories like this. Turn on notifications because YouTube shadow bans truth channels, and you need to see every video we post. Tell your children this story. Not just Nat Love's name, but his triumph. Not just Bill Pickett's skill, but his robbery. Not just the 9,000, but their legacy flowing in your veins. Don't let them erase us again. Attend local school board meetings and demand Black Cowboy history in the curriculum. Support Black Cowboy museums and cultural institutions that preserve this heritage. Attend Black rodeos and keep the tradition alive. Buy books by Black historians documenting these stories. Support reparations legislation at local, state, and federal levels. This isn't revenge. It's truth and justice. This isn't woke ideology. It's waking up to lies. You are part of this story. Your labor matters. Your ancestors' labor mattered. Your descendants' inheritance matters. You have two paths in front of you. Accept the textbook lies and stay poor in knowledge. Or embrace the truth and reclaim your legacy. Pass truth to the next generation. They're counting on you. Your grandfather didn't know this because they hid it from him. Make sure your grandson knows. Make sure your granddaughter knows. Break the cycle of erasure. Start today. Right now. This moment. The choice is yours. Silence or speak. Forget or remember. Accept or resist. Your ancestors chose resistance. They rode west when the South tried to trap them. They competed in rodeos when white judges tried to exclude them. They kept their stories alive when textbooks tried to bury them. Now it's your turn. What will you choose? Let us pray. Bow your heads with me. Father God, we thank you for preserving this truth through 150 years of lies. We thank you for the 9,000 black cowboys, whose names we may never know, but whose blood runs in our veins. We lift up Nat Love, who proved black excellence when the world said we were inferior. We honor Bill Pickett, whose genius they stole, but whose legacy they could not kill. Lord, we pray for justice, for the stolen wages never paid, for the stolen land never returned, for the stolen history never taught. for the stolen inheritance never passed down. We ask that you move in the hearts of those who hold power to acknowledge the debt and pay what is owed. We pray for restoration. Restore the truth to our textbooks so our children learn real history. Restore the pride to our communities that has been beaten down by lies. Restore the wealth they stole from our ancestors through reparations and restitution. Restore our names to the history books where they belong. We pray for awakening. Wake up our people to the lies they've been taught since childhood. Wake up the nation to the debt they owe and can no longer deny. Wake up the church to fight for justice, not just charity. Wake up everyone who has ears to hear and eyes to see that this theft is still happening today. Bless those who seek truth in a world that profits from lies. Strengthen those who resist erasure with every story they tell and every fact they share. Vindicate the memory of our ancestors who died without recognition, and give us courage. Courage to demand what is ours. Courage to teach our children truth when schools teach lies. Courage to fight for reparations until the debt is paid. Courage to walk in the pride our ancestors earned through blood and sweat and excellence. In the mighty name of Jesus, our liberator and truth teller. Amen. Walk in truth. Demand justice. You are free, not from struggle, but from lies. This is your stolen legacy revealed. This is your ancestors' excellence restored. This is your children's inheritance reclaimed. Remember Nat Love. Remember Bill Pickett. Remember the 9,000. Remember what they built. Remember what they stole. Remember who you are. Build wealth like your cowboy ancestors did. Demand reparations because it's owed, not charity. Remember the theft and never forget who you are. God bless you. Stay woke, stay proud, stay fighting. 9,000 black cowboys. 150 years of erasure. Your stolen legacy, now revealed.